Yeah, I admit it. I am a big, and for some people, annoying Nintendo fanboy. I have been playing Nintendo my whole life, and I still do. I don't own any other consoles from other companies. It's just Nintendo, Nintendo, Nintendo. And I love the games, I love the charm, I love the franchises, I love the weird machines sometimes. And I thought to myself it would be funny to talk about all the home consoles, from worst to best. So just to be clear with you guys before I start my ranking from worst to best over Nintendo home consoles. The console on the bottom can be someone's favorite. And it's not that I dislike the console at the bottom. I actually would say I love them all, but I definitely love some more than others. And I won't rank them after which console have the best games in all people's opinion, or if what console sold the best. For me, it's more like the personal thing I had with the console, my memories, my games the games I really love for the console. So just to be clear, maybe the worst would be your favorite. But let's just jump right into the topic and talk about the home console from worst to best. At the bottom we have a pretty new Nintendo console, and I think a lot of people have this on the bottom on the list, probably, maybe not. Maybe some have grown up with this machine and think it's the best Nintendo machine. But for me, at the bottom we have the Nintendo Wii U. And it's not that I dislike the console, but it's the only Nintendo console, home console, that I have been... I had bought it 3 times and sold it 3 times. I tried to really love it, but I was not connected with it. I don't know what it was, but I never felt the connection with that console. When the Wii U was the new main console from Nintendo, I was in a period where I didn't play it that much anymore. I was more interested in doing other things until I found my passion again with the Nintendo Switch. And it's weird because it's the only console from Nintendo where I wasn't really thinking about Nintendo all the time. I'm thinking about Nintendo every day nowadays, and in the past as well. And but for some reason I never connected with it. I think the launch was pretty weak, so there wasn't any games that I was really excited about. I was missing the big 3D Mario game, I was missing the big 3D Zelda game, and it was just... I didn't really feel it. For me, it felt like a Nintendo Wii console and an add-on on top of that. And yeah, I understand why some people really love the Wii U tablet, and I can see it's useful when you're using a map on a game, or you have your different items that you can scroll through very easy. But for me, often I was pretty annoyed by the Wii U pad. It took me away from the experience that I had to look down on my Wii U pad. But yeah, there are some great games, but there wasn't the game that I was really like, oh, this is experience that I will never forget. Yeah, I love Tropical Freeze, I like Xenoblade X, I love 3D Mario World, but yeah, it was just a console where, when I think about it, I can't see the reason why to owning one anymore, especially because all the games have been ported to the Nintendo Switch. But yeah, that's the reason why the Nintendo Wii U is the worst console from Nintendo, in my opinion. At place number 6, we have a console that I would love to love more than I do. And it has especially been the last couple of 5 years I have been feeling like as I'm doing right now. I do believe that the Nintendo Entertainment System, the first one, have aged pretty bad lately. It's hard for me to go back to the games. There are some games that still holds up. Star Tropic, the original Super Mario Bros, Super Mario Bros 2, Super Mario Bros 3, Zelda, and yeah, there are some other games as well. But there are a lot of games that I have a hard time to go back to. Metroid, I really love Metroid, but it's so difficult for me to play the first one. Kid Icarus, yeah, the games have just aged poorly often. If I have to rank it higher, it would be because of blind nostalgia. And I have to admit it, if I remove my glasses and look at the games and the console itself, I love the other consoles more than the Nintendo Entertainment System, even though I have much nostalgia for it. It was the first console I played with my brother, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, Jurassic Park. I love those games, but they still have a lot of flaws, and it's the nostalgia that holds it up, and that's the reason why it isn't at the bottom, but the Wii U. But yeah, still a great console that have some unique games. I love Nintendo Entertainment System so much, but I can't rank it higher because that the games have aged pretty poorly, in my opinion. At place number 5, we have a console that probably will surprise a lot of you that it isn't higher on the list, because the console have one of my favorite games of all time, and I have a lot of nostalgia for it as well, but I just think that the other console on the list is better. Just to be clear, from now on the list, I absolutely love all the consoles. So it had been hard for me to pick what comes next. So the next machine on the list is a machine that I think a lot of people would have higher still. And it surprised me a lot when I was thinking about ranking the home consoles, because this machine has one of my favorite games of all time. But there are some things that make it still be lower on the list, and the console I'm talking about is the Nintendo 64. Yeah, it have Paper Mario, it have Ocarina of Time, one of my favorite games of all time, my favorite Zelda game of all time, and I love the console so much. I have so much nostalgia for it. I have so many great memories. That my brother and I, we were sitting, one of our good friends, and we were playing Super Mario 64. So many great tunes, so many franchises that was evolving in that period. Oh, I love it. Yeah, some of the best games ever made. The reason why it's not higher on the list is because of the controller itself. I have a hard time playing on an N64 controller nowadays. And the funny thing, when I was a child, I hold the controller in a way that you shouldn't hold it. I realized after a long time that you have to hold it in the middle and then on the right. I always hold it on the left side and on the right side. And when I was a child, I have pretty huge hands. But still, when I was a child, I have to really do some effort to hit the analog, because I always hold it in the left side and on the right side and not in the middle. So I have always had a weird kind of thing with the controller. I have never been a huge fan of it. And even though a lot of the games really use the controller in a good ways, like Banjo-Kazooie and the Mario 64, I really think those games fits the N64 controller, but it still haven't aged that well in my memories. And when I replay some of the games and I hold an N64 controller, it feels just some kind of odd. If I have to be honest, there are some games that have aged pretty poorly as well, because it's the first 3D console from Nintendo. And when I look back, yeah, some of them look kind of odd as well. It's funny that I still think to this day that the Super Nintendo games looks more beautiful than the N64. It's just pixel graphic just age better than 3D graphic. But yeah, I love the N64 and one of the best consoles ever made. At place number 4, we have a console that have actually been higher on the list before, but things change when you get older. And I think if you ask me for 15 years ago, it will probably have been my favorite console of all time, but it's not anymore. And it's because I have started to appreciate other things, and my memories with the different machines have started to remember them for different things. So at place number 4, we have the Nintendo GameCube. And yeah, it surprised me a lot, because even when I'm talking about it now, I have it so weird with that I've been putting it at number 4. It should be at number 1 almost, because yeah, it have Metroid Prime, it have the best controller almost ever made. It have the best main controller in my opinion. So And I just think the GameCube looked awesome. It have the purple color, and the small disc was cute as well. It have some of the best games ever made. The Wind Waker, oof, Metroid Prime, as I said, Metroid Prime 2 as well, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. It has some of the best games I've ever played. I have always had that feeling that I have felt some kind of sorry for the Nintendo GameCube. I have been like, you deserve to sell more. I think a lot of people thought it was a childish machine, even though it was stronger than the PlayStation 2. I always think it's so funny that people are talking about that Nintendo don't care about graphics. They did back in the days. They did. The Super Nintendo was a powerful, beautiful machine. The N64 was a great, powerful machine as well. And the Nintendo GameCube was more powerful than the PlayStation 2. But it sold so bad that after the GameCube, they started to thinking about to be more unique. And then they thought about it and came up with the Nintendo Wii. And then we got the Wii U and the Switch. So think about it. We have the Wii, the Wii U, and the Switch. And of course the Switch 2 very soon. But people have been talking about Nintendo like they have never cared about graphics. That's not true. They have cared about graphics, but not anymore. Back in the days, they were so powerful with the graphics, and the GameCube looks still this day have some of the best looking games ever. The Star Fox Adventures, look at it. It looks so good. The hair on Fox McCloud, damn man. So yeah, I just think it's funny every time people are talking about that Nintendo don't care about graphics. I'm like, they did in the past, yeah. But yeah, I really love the GameCube. I think it have the best main controller, and the games are absolutely amazing. I'm pretty surprised that it's not high on the list. But yeah, the others are just more... I just feel more for those. At place number 3, and this is the console that surprised me so much that it's so high on the list. And I think a lot of you will be surprised by it too, because when this machine was the newest mainline, I would never thought to myself that I would rank it higher than the GameCube. Never ever. At place number 3, we have the Nintendo Wii. Yeah, the machine that stepped away for the hardcore console and starting focusing on other things than graphic, trying to hit the casual, all the casual people. I know a lot of people don't like the Nintendo Wii, and a lot of people was stepping away from Nintendo in that time. But the reason why I really, really love Nintendo Wii and have been a console that have raised more highly lately is because of the Virtual Console. I do think it's one of the best thing with the Nintendo Wii that we got the Virtual Console. In that time, I started to see what kind of game I had been missing in the past. I will never forget when I was browsing through the Nintendo, what was it called, the Wii eShop, and saw all the Super Nintendo games that I had been missing, and I could finally play it now. It was just so lovely to boot up the eShop, and you can hear the music. Da 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 do 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 da 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 da. I have so many great memories just scrolling through all the games and discover masterpieces I have never heard of before, or games that was never released in Europe that I finally could play them. Nowadays it's much easier to play games that wasn't released in Europe, but back then it was a thing that wasn't easy to come around. And I started playing games that I've dreamed about playing, but maybe I didn't have the money for it, or it was never released in Europe. So yeah, the reason why I love the Wii U so much is because of the Virtual Console. I love the games as well. I love Galaxy 2 of course, and I love the Zelda games. I love Second Wiki, one of the most underrated games on the Nintendo Wii. Point and click game. I love Second Wiki. There are so many great games. Wario Shake Dimension, it was one of the best games. Metroid Prime 3 as well. Yeah, so many great games. And I do understand why some people was tired of the Wii in the end because of the remote and other things. But oh man, I love the Wii. and I'm surprised that it's so high on the list. But yeah, what a great console! What a great console. At place number 2, oh man, yeah, I love this console so extremely much, and actually I'm playing on this console more than I'm playing on the machine that I have at number 1 at the moment. My second favorite console of all time is the Super Nintendo. Yeah, nostalgia feels a big part why it's number 2, but still I'm playing on my Super Analog NT at the moment, and I'm collecting on Super Nintendo games very much at the moment. I have just got Lufia 1 and 2 games that I have been dreaming to get in my collection, and I'm playing through Terranigma at the moment. And yeah, if you follow the channel, you have seen there have been uploaded a lot of Super Nintendo reviews lately, and it's because I'm blasting through the games. I have so much fun collecting them and play them and looking at the instruction booklet, thinking about my past, and it's so crazy that the game still holds up. Terranigma, that I'm playing at the moment for the 3rd time, is still one of the best games ever made. And yeah, Hurricanes, a game that a lot of people don't like and I played lately, and I still think it's a masterful game, even though it have a lot of flaws. Chrono Trigger, one of the best RPGs ever made. Mario World, Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3. So many great games that I can Link to the Past. Oh, yeah, you have one of the best games ever made, and the game still holds up. And sometimes when I play, I'm playing at the moment a lot of Super Nintendo games, as I said. And sometimes when I look at the games, I'm like, it still holds up. It still looks so beautiful. And sometimes I think it looks more beautiful than games nowadays. I would, for any time, any day, pick Chrono Trigger than other RPGs that we are getting on the Nintendo Switch or PlayStation or Xbox. We have the Xenoblade games, of course, that I love extremely high, but Chrono Trigger still holds up as one of the most beautiful and best games ever made. The controller is just perfect. I still think it still fits in your hand. It's easy to understand, and my wife herself can play on the Super Nintendo, and yeah, I have so much nostalgia for that, and I still think it's one of the best games. Not games. One of the best machines ever made. I love the Super Nintendo. I really do. At place number 1 is no surprise for a lot of you guys, and I started the P-Wing because of this machine, and that is the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch is the best machine ever, by far. It has so many great games. It's a console that you can play in handheld. You can have it connected to your TV. There are so many funny ways to change the Joy-Cons so you have the personal touch while it's standing in front of your TV. I'm pretty sad that we don't have a good jingle while we are browsing through the eShop, and we don't have themes when we are booting up our Nintendo Switch, but it's so fast, it's so snappy. It have some of the best games ever made. The library for the Nintendo Switch is crazy. It had my favorite game of all time at the machine, and the reason why I think that this console is the best ever is because of all the indie games we have. The Nintendo Switch is the indie machine, and the indie games nowadays give me that Super Nintendo feeling that I've been missing since the Super Nintendo. We got... I get chills just thinking about it. We have a console right now that can play the newest games from Nintendo with the best graphics, and then we have all the indie games made by passionate indie developer that puts 7 years into a game, that have sold their houses and just been passionate about that game. Sometimes they have lost their wives or men in the progress because they have been so dedicated for that game. It's like they have been their child. The little game they have been working on is their child's. And I can feel the passion. I can feel the magic, and I have one of the best gaming memories with the indie games. The indie games have been eye-opener for me. It have been where I have been starting to really understand that graphic is not the most important things. Is the gameplay, is the way you tell story, is the whole thing combined together. The music, the art style, the gameplay, the passion behind the people behind the game. I can feel that so much in indie games. Sometimes I have a hard time to feel that in AAA games. Yeah, I love the Nintendo Switch. It's the best machine ever. As I said, it's the reason why the P-Wing exists. It's the reason why I have been doing what I'm doing at the moment and meet a lot of people because of that machine. And I don't think that any machine anytime will reach the level that the Nintendo Switch have. I love to collect for it. I love all the collectors. I love to have the opportunity to buy indie games as a physical game. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Nintendo Switch is the best console ever made, and I can't wait for the Nintendo Switch 2. But let me know down in the comment section what your list is from worst to best. I'm very curious to hear what kind of list you have. I'm very excited to hear the reason why for it. But thank you so much everyone for watching the whole video. This was Daniel from P-Wing. Purple love to you all. Bye.